But yeah, hey folks, welcome to the Tellico Blockhouse. I'm portraying Mr. Barclay McGhee, who was one of the traders that lived here at the Blockhouse and did trade with the Cherokee. We suspect he either lived in this building right behind you all, or possibly in this one here. But you know, I sat here and did business with Cherokee that came in to do trade here at the Blockhouse. Primarily, the goal in mind was they were going to be bringing pelts, be deer, otter, wolf, elk, muskrats, beaver, all kinds of different things to do trade with me. But also I was accepting different forms of silver, be that currency or trade silver, usually worn as jewelry. I got a couple different things laid out here for you guys to look at, but to give you a little brief history lesson of even the reason why we're even here is the factory. A big part of the reason here at the Blockhouse was the Tellico factory to help train and teach the Cherokee Western ways, be that through blacksmithing or Western carpentry, using a loom, animal husbandry like cattle and sheep, cash crops with cotton, and that building is right here. So this was the factory. A lot of the supplies came in from the factory through Philadelphia to here, and the premise was that this would be a self-sustaining industry. Through, I believe, the years 1796 to 1801, they made a full profit of $310. So not a lot of money going through. It was more or less think of it kind of like the way we look at a technical college today. But along with that business, you know, the Cherokee were able to come in, buy fabric, sewing needles, maybe cottonseed, things like that, plows, to help them with their endeavors elsewhere. But I also had a lot of goods to sell as well. You all have any particular questions about any of the goods I have on the table? Or
yeah, tell us about the rifle here.
now this is a French musket. This would have been something that maybe a Cherokee warrior would have picked up during some trade up north through their time, and it would have probably walked into the Blockhouse with. This maybe was one of the guns they had. This one's been around the block a little bit, so ramrod tends to want to fall out. You know, the lock's a little wobbly, trigger mechanism is a little loose. So I was here to offer maybe a new rifle or a smoothbore from Philadelphia to do trade with. So I just have that as an example of something you would maybe see a Cherokee warrior carrying around. Once again, this is much shorter than what they would have come from the factory. This was cut down. A lot of folks refer to this as a canoe gun because it's handy, it's easy to stow away, or a blanket gun. But a lot of times they just cut them down because there may be damage to the barrel or to even be handy.
What is that, about a 50 to 70
This
caliber?
is a 20 gauge.
20 gauge.
62
Yes.
cal.
So it's a smooth bore.
62.
You could shoot either round lead ball, the patch, or to work more like a rifle, or loose shot to be like a shotgun. So the name of this weapon is a fusil de chasse, which translates out to in French gun of the hunt, gun of the chase. So it's a hunting piece, not a military weapon like you'll see the soldiers walking around with. They had Charlottesville muskets here. Actually, no, not Charlottesville muskets. I misspoke. They have Springfields, which are copies of the Charlottesville.
Got it.
Did the Cherokee learn how to make
At
their
first they had the Charlottevilles because the Springfields didn't come out until 1795 and weren't issued till 1796.
Okay, so I was right to begin with.
You were right
Cool.
as to start
Okay.
with.
But yeah, so that was one of the very popular trade items. We're getting a fresh new firearm because once again, these Cherokee warriors, if something, what we would think is very minor, in today's time broke on the gun, it becomes practically useless unless you have a blacksmith or know how to blacksmith, and they could make some new pieces. So very important. Cherokee came here to learn blacksmithing, and that was Sequoia. He learned how to blacksmith at the blacksmith's forge just beyond the Blockhouse over there. And it was a very important time for him and the Cherokee people because this was his first exposure to the written word. So he actually, we believe the sparks, the inspiration for the Cherokee syllabary probably happened here.
So they learned to make their own bullets?
The bullet process is very easy. This is just a cast round lead ball. You'd get smaller cast lead balls for larger shot, or even to the point of just pouring lead into water, creating little droplets that would harden up, and those are referred to as swan shot. But no, these were all very popular things for them to.
So I see
purchase
the
here.
teas from London. Was that something that was regularly provided by the British?
The British were, definitely provided a lot of tea, but at this time, with the Americans, they were still drinking lots of tea.
Yeah.
But coffee was also gaining popularity at this time as well.
Okay. And you guys were fighting the Indians and the French at the time.
In this time, right now,
We
there was a
weren't
lot of
fighting
political
anybody.
tensions. There was a lot of
No.
political tensions with the French,
Yeah.
and what was going to happen. President Adams was getting pressured to sign treaties from both the English and the French.
So were the French and Indian Wars before
The French and Indian
Blockhouse?
Wars were before the Revolution,
Yeah.
around the 1750s.
And the Blockhouse,
This is 1790s.
1790s.
So yeah, we've gotten past the French and Indian War, the 7 Years War.
Yeah.
Once again, the American people were getting taxed. They decided they didn't like being taxed without representation. The
Yeah.
whole thing we've learned, and yeah, we had the Revolution that happened. So now at this point, we are the American states.
So,
The
real
English
Americans.
are out. You still find the English up north,
Yeah.
but once again, there was a lot of tension between the French, English, the Americans on whose side are we going to be on.
Spanish.
And then also we had the Indian Wars up north in the Ohio region, which was very costly for the Legion.
You also had the Oconee Wars down in Georgia between the state of Georgia and the Creek
Yeah.
Indians. Was
So at
during
that
this time
point,
period.
the American military was very small and was built into legions, and they were hit really, really hard. They lost a lot of men. They were not being very successful in these wars. So I would think, once again, I haven't read this anywhere, but it's logical that General Washington would have done what he did, which was the Factories Act, which is like, hey, we're going to teach you all for free, this kind of like an olive branch here, all these wonderful Western things like carpentry and blacksmithing and using a loom for sewing and making fabric like this to be as peacetime. We want to be friends. But the secondary idea of this, was if we can, we maybe can't conquer you or fight you away, but maybe we can bring you into the fold. We can make you into Americans. You'll be a farming society with cotton to sell to the American people or become part of America. That did not actually happen. What actually happened was the Cherokee became even more independent from Western needs because they
adopted all
all the
stuff
things
that
we
they
were
learned
teaching.
here and at other factories.
So, and that got the gears turning for the probably for the removals.
This was also the site where they would bring the annuities to disperse to the Cherokee for the lands they ceded further north up north of here.
So they did gift the
This was
Cherokee a
on
lot of
was
things.
on the border of the Cherokee and what they had given away to the United States.
So this was behind us here is the original Little Tennessee River.
Yes, it flowed right through here and continues straight up past the bend over here at the fort. So all this water here is part of the lake.
So this high
Lake.
ground is really why they chose this place.
Yeah,
Because of the river.
it's a very strategic part of the river.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, y'all have other questions about anything?